Hello there and welcome to my review for the early access of Breachway. In this video I'm going to go over all the strengths and weaknesses of the game, give you a summary about what's in the box, and my personal impression at the end. So, first up, what's in the box? Breachway is a turn-based combat game. In its core, it's all about combat. It is also space-based, so we're playing spaceships. You're the captain of a spaceship. You get to select what kind of guns and other gear is on there, and it's also a deck builder game. Each piece of gear has a couple of cards that you can slot into. As you see, our pulse laser array can have up to 3 attacks in there. We get to draft new attacks when we win combats for some rewards, and we get new equipment pieces. We also have a crew that influences the quality of our weapons and have special abilities. So altogether, you have an interesting mixture of concepts that you might or might not know from previous similar games. And on top of that, we have a node traveling system, as you see there. But the interesting part here is it's faction based. Each of these nodes is controlled by one of those 4 factions. Depending on which ship you play, you have different relations to those factions and different outcomes on the events on these nodes. Also, you see this blue line and the orange line. Blue line does not cost you any fuel. Orange line does cost you fuel and is basically an optional way where you can pilfer more resources, get more adventures in, and such. The main part of the game, the combat itself, is rather slow paced. We see on the right side the enemy, on the left side our ship. We have here our hand of cards. Our resources in this game, you distribute the energy of your ship to generate per turn different resources. We have different timers from on the enemy side, and you get to play with various different mechanics. Each different type of spaceship gun gives off different vibes. So the core of the combat is strategically anticipating what the enemy does, resource management on your side to get the stuff off that you want, deck management, and use your crew's ability to your advantage. That's in its core what Breachway does. You're cruising around and you're trying to get your spaceship stronger and reach the end of each level. There's a little bit of a coding of a story below it, but I neither want to spoiler nor do I think that the story plays a big role in this game. Altogether, this is what you can get here. The game is still in early access, so I sincerely don't know what will be coming up next. But yeah, you'll be unlocking new ships. You'll be getting new cards along the way. There's permanent and temporary rewards. Well, we all know by now the roguelite genre. So, what's good about this game? Why do I think it is a commendable game? Because I do. First up, it is a very, very interesting mesh of known mechanics. I really, really enjoy what it does. The mixture of resource management and the limited slots on each gear. Each piece of gear also has a limited pool of draft options. So when you level up your laser array, you obviously only get laser attacks. And this is a very different approach to all the roguelite turn-based combat games that I have already played. And I can't say, I played a lot of them. I really enjoy the genre, and this, together with the crew management and the ship management, you get to invest your money also into permanent upgrades into your ship, is really something that captivated me because it works out differently than I am used to. So, apart from that, I really enjoy that I feel like the captain of my ship here. Yeah, I think this is a very subjective thing, but being able to manage the energy distribution, upgrade my generator power, upgrade specific subsystems, get upgrades for my laser, get auxiliary mounted point defense guns to fight off rockets of the enemy. This is just feeling great. I really enjoy what this does, and the deck building part, like I already glanced there, is also something I do enjoy, because you always have to consider that your slots are limited. Short-term rewards versus long-term strategical ideas. It's a pretty interesting system. Also, the combat system is very, very interesting insofar as I find it extremely easy to pick up. but it is still quite difficult to master, as there is a lot of different mechanics that can be used on your end. Flak cannons work completely different than rail guns, and lasers work differently than ion guns, and there's really a lot to experience and to learn. But I felt like my first runs were super easy, and I enjoyed blowing myself up at the middle of the line, and the next time then at the boss, and so on and so forth. It's a pretty smooth gameplay experience to me. Also, the node travel system really deserves some praise. The thing is, due to the fact that you don't have to cruise around only one distinct path. If you go here to the oranges, you can go wherever you want. The trick here is the blue lines only allow one-way travel, always forward, whereas on the orange lines, where moving is limited, you can move back and forth as you please. So with some planning, you can really reap a lot of rewards out of the sector there, and this is pretty interesting. More interesting than most of the games that I've played in this genre so far. So, where there's good though, there's also bad. So, first up, I must criticize that this game feels very RNG heavy. So, you have very low abilities to influence your drops. So, if you want to play a certain playstyle, yeah, doesn't happen that reliably. That's one thing. The other thing, which is really annoying at that end, is that sometimes you just get a hand dealt where you, even with experience on the game, feel like, yeah, that's bollocks. I rather restart before trying to play this. And this is a feeling I don't like. So I'd really love if the game would give us some more individualization options there. Also, user interface can feel at times a little bit messy. I sometimes have really had problems to find which nodes belong to a quest. Sometimes I had issues understanding some effects on in terms of flak, for example. The icons here were, well, I think this is all fixable, but altogether, I think there is still work to be done. I mean, this is an early access game, and it is already very polished for where it's at. Don't want to sound here ungrateful. What I also felt like while testing this game, there are difficulty spikes in the progression chain that quickly feel unfair. They are not unfair. They are just checking if you learned to play around your resource management well, if you have understood how to counter the enemy's mechanic and all. But it's all fine. I like my challenges, but I feel like these sudden spikes, for example, there's one mission type where your reactor energy your per turn energy production is gimped by 3 at the beginning of the fight. Once you're experienced with the game, this is no longer something which troubles you too much. But when I was new around this, I dreaded this event because I had no clue how to beat it. And the combination with the slow combat system, because this is a relatively slow combat system, can therefore feel sometimes a tad bit unfair. You know, you just learned a new mechanic or been challenged with something that really is much harder than the stuff before, and then you get to restart for, I don't know, an hour or 90 minutes worth of run because you were chugging through the combat slow pace to win it. So yeah, I feel like the difficulty level could be a little bit less bumpy at times. And the last complaint that I also had, if I didn't go into crazy risk taking the whole run, I had always trouble having enough money. This was really something that I noticed. Money was always an issue unless I went for paths where I was taking so much risk that after beating all that, I felt way too overpowered for the sector, and this is feeling a little bit off. The importance of money is extreme because you use that money not only for upgrading your ship. That's one thing where you use it. For example, more per turn energy is absolutely mandatory and you need that. And the other thing is, at space stations, you buy your fuel with that, you repair your ship with that, you buy new stuff for your ship with that. So you new systems, new upgrades, and at the end of the day, I was only spending my money upgrading my ship and repairing it, and sometimes buying some fuel. I never had money left to spend for any cool subsystems. And last but not least, crew members need to be not only RNG pickups. They need to be reliably picked up, because no crew member means that you can't utilize the system. There's an AI that you can use on many slots, but yeah, it's too hard to get new crew members. They should have another deterministic source of that. So you see me nagging a couple about a lot of technical details, but the foundation of the game, to go over to the summary, is very good. I really like what this game does. It is very strategic. Some people might dislike the slow pace of combat. I often sit in front of a turn a lot of minutes before doing anything, and then the turn itself gets played out quite quickly after I've done my planning and all. I personally live for that stuff. I love this kind of combat. I am, when it comes down to turn-based combat, I'm enjoying it a lot to have to think about my turn order. I think this might be not everybody's cup of tea, but if you like this type of combat, Breachway is totally up your alley. Also, the game is very, very combat oriented. You know, you have some exploration pods, but don't let yourself get fooled. These exploration pods only serve one purpose: to give you better stuff to be geared out for the upcoming battles. It's all about battles. I mean, this is typical for the genre, but I wanted to point that out, that the exploration part is not something that the game focuses too hard on. So in case you might get disappointed if you would expect that. Also, it's not faster than light. I've seen the comparisons to FTL so much when people were disappointed because it's not as fun as FTL. Yeah, but that's because the game ain't FTL. It's a different shtick. It's a different approach. FTL had way more management of what's going on the ship itself, whereas this game is focusing on the combat between two ships, systems working against each other, not so much the crew micromanagement. Two completely different games, and don't expect FTL in this game because it is a combat-based game. Apart from that, I already said it, the deterministic elements are really lacking at this point. Too much RNG, too many things where we need to rely on a random drop, but I gotta say, it's an early access. I'm pretty sure, considering the fact that I know the publisher behind to deliver good early access versions, Hooded Horse has a track record of really getting stuff done in the early access department. I have high hopes that this game will, at the end of the day, get to a point where you can safely say, yeah, it had its bumps early on, but now we have all those things. It's easy to fix it. You know, get yourself an option to unlock certain systems at the beginning of the game. I can think of so many ideas what we can do here. So I think, yeah, absolutely fixable. What I personally disliked about the game were no things that I saw as systemic issues that are not fixable. Some games have such underlying deep troubles that I have my doubts that any early access time of the world could fix it. In Breachway's case, all the devs need to do is to listen to the community, which parts are currently too bumpy, feeling a little bit too rough around the edges, work up that UI a little bit, give us more interesting and cool ship systems to work with, and this game, oh, I love it already, you know? I do criticize a lot, but only because I enjoyed my time with it already so much and I want it to be better than it already is. I played Breachway and I stuck to it like for a couple of hours, and then I was frustrated because of the difficulty. Then I banged my head against the wall of this game even more until I finally had a first successful run, and it feels very, very enjoyable. Yes, the game, to me personally, felt harder than the average roguelite out there. I think this is mostly because of the RNG issues and such, but at the same time, I enjoyed trying to tackle the challenges ahead time and time again, because I find the combat of this game very compelling, very, very exciting, rewards you for thinking things through, trying things out, and yeah, if you like this kind of game, you can't do much wrong with Breachway. And the best part about it is, if you are in doubt, use the 2-hour refund window of Steam, because in all honesty, in 2 hours, you have all the time you need to find out if the formula of the game really connects with you, or if you find it too complicated to enjoy. I think this is something you will realize in the first 60 minutes with ease, so there's nothing to lose here on this end. Personally, I love Breachway. I am very excited to see where this game goes. There's a lot of potential on this one, as I think the elements that it works are unique enough to get me back pumping and thinking about the genre in ways I didn't in the past. So good job on this one. Can't see where this can't wait to see where this goes. So thanks for watching. That's the end of my video. Leave a comment what you think about it. Leave a like. Leave a subscribe. Feel free to support the channel. There's plenty of links down there in the description box if you want to. Many thanks for all of you who do so. And many thanks to you especially for watching this video up until the very end. Deeply appreciate your time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.